What if the most brilliant mind you've ever heard of didn't burn out, they chose to disappear? Tesla, Perelman, Salinger, names that rewrote what humans thought was possible, then went silent. The reason they all vanished is the same, and once you see it, you'll never think about genius the same way again. Why would someone at the absolute peak of their power walk away, not collapse, not burn out, not get forced out? Walk away deliberately, quietly, and completely. Consider Nikola Tesla. By the early 1900s, he had already rewritten the rules of electricity. Alternating current was his. The modern power grid was his. The world was running on his mind. And then slowly his public presence collapsed. He retreated into isolation, working on things the world wasn't ready to ask about, in rooms most people never saw. The fame didn't leave him, he left it. Then there's Grigori Perelman. He solved the Poincaré conjecture, one of the 7 Millennium Prize problems so difficult that mathematicians had spent a century failing to crack them. He solved it. The mathematical world erupted. $1 million prize was offered. The Fields Medal, the highest honor in mathematics, was placed in front of him. He refused both, then he walked back into a quiet apartment in St. Petersburg and effectively disappeared. Let that land for a second. He solved what no one else could. He turned down everything in the world offered, then he disappeared. Why? That's not a tragedy. That's not a breakdown. That's a choice, and a remarkably consistent one when you look at who else made it. This is where the pattern starts to feel unsettling, because Tesla and Perelman didn't know each other. They lived in different centuries, different disciplines, different worlds entirely, and yet the shape of what they did is almost identical. Reach the peak, refuse the reward, vanish. These minds shared something the world couldn't give them, and something the world kept taking. The answer isn't what you'd expect, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Perelman turned down $1 million and the Fields Medal, both. Would you have done the same, or would you have taken the prize? Drop your answer in the comments below, because what drove that choice connects directly to what all of these vanishings had in common. The noise of expectation, the awards, the interviews, the demand to keep producing on someone else's schedule wasn't just uncomfortable. It was actively destroying the internal state that made their work possible in the first place. Genius for these people wasn't a skill they could perform on command. It was a condition, and that condition required protection. J.D. Salinger wrote The Catcher in the Rye, one of the most widely read novels of the 20th century, then spent the next 50 years in deliberate silence, not blocked, not broken. He was reportedly still writing privately, obsessively right up until his death. The silence wasn't absence, it was a wall he built to keep something intact that the world would have consumed if he'd left the door open. Bill Watterson ended Calvin and Hobbes at its commercial peak. Licensing deals worth enormous sums were on the table, merchandise, animation, a franchise that could have run for decades. He walked away from all of it because continuing would have required handing those characters to a machine that would hollow them out, and he knew it. Think about that for a moment. What would you protect if the world kept demanding you perform it on command? Tesla retreating into isolation, Perelman refusing the prize, Salinger building his wall, Watterson closing the strip. These were the most deliberate choices these minds ever made. The vanishing wasn't the end of their genius. The vanishing was the genius. The question isn't why they left. The question is what they knew about the cost of staying that you haven't asked yourself yet. Subscribe now for more stories like this, and watch this next one on more ways to improve your life.